Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Before I introduce our guest, here's a quote just for this episode.
Oh, the special quote of the day. Every act of creation is first of all an act of destruction.
Today, I'm joined by the one and only, who is our speaker, uh, Demetri Stakias, who's been on the show episode 810, 1007, and 1018. He's experienced the show actually and 30 Days of Thought and Friends. Um, a great friend of the Culture Matters podcast, host of the Relief podcast, entrepreneur, helper, a man of empathy and compassion, and a supporter of 30 Days of Thought since the very beginning. Thank you for coming on the Culture Matters podcast, Demetri. And today I'm so excited to learn about some of the endeavors that you've been adventuring on and some recent I guess, enlightening experiences. So thanks for coming on and happy birthday. We have a birthday episode. You haven't listened to it. Happy birthday episode, page 226 of I should know the numbers of things. I need to know the numbers of things. 221. Happy birthday we did for
Oh,
Dimitri's. He's
okay.
turning 20 today, tomorrow. So yeah. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Jay, there's some wonderful new updates, and if I may, I want to update the audience about the story of the Gordian knot.
Please.
Okay. So this comes from this story. I'm just going to read this quick paragraph for the audience's benefit. In the winter of 333 BC, the Macedonian general Alexander and his army arrive in the Asian city of Gordium to take up winter quarters. While there, Alexander hears about the legend surrounding the town's famous knot, the Gordian knot. A prophecy states that whoever is able to unite this strangely complicated knot will become king of Asia. This story intrigues Alexander, and he asks to be taken to the knot so he can attempt to untie it. He studies it for a bit, but after fruitless attempt to find the rope ends, he is stymied. How can I unfasten the knot? He asks himself. He gets an idea. I'll make up my own knot untying rules. He pulls out his sword and slices the knot in half. Asia is fated to him.
Wow.
So when we talk about problem solving, here's a problem, right? And here's an opportunity at the same time, right? Because I think that word is the same in Chinese symbol, right? And yesterday was Gary Vaynerchuk's 50th birthday, right? My birthday is
Exciting.
tomorrow on the 16th. His is yesterday on the 14th, right? I'm hitting 45 tomorrow. He hit 50 yesterday, right? So I know that the headquarters are in New York because it's public information. And I go there dressed up as an elf and I deliver this, right? With no appointment, right? And I'm like, I got to get as far as I can. Now, mind you, I didn't get, I got to the gate, I got to the guardian of the gate, but he wasn't Cerberus, right? He didn't have three heads, he only had one.
Listen, sir. Okay, okay.
Right? He was a young man, pretty fresh to the job, right? I said, look, I'm an aspiring client. I wanted to drop off a gift for Gary's birthday. And he says, well, if they answer the phone, then you can go up there. But nobody answered the call twice. But that didn't stop me from making content and leaving the gift with him. Because this person
Oh,
smiles and says good morning to a whole bunch of people. And I said, hey, can we take a picture? And if you like it, leave a review. So that's my humble way to kind of get to the gatekeeper's door in front of the people who influence while just giving a gift to somebody on their birthday. So if they don't get it that way, I'll just send it in the mail. But this whole experience is now a story and it's content.
hmm.
A lot of people think content is hiring some marketing firm and going through field studies of what could work. it's honestly just being bold. So there was a few times in that day where I said, you know what? Don't be bold. Be cautious. Hey, what are you doing? It may not work. What if they don't answer you? What will you do then? How will you adapt? So that overthinking used to paralyze me into indecision and hesitation. So when I started clarifying my thoughts and my mission, I said, you know what? Either way, it's going to be a great day. And it was. And I closed out the day in Princeton, just walking around seeing Christmas lights, dressed up as an elf. Okay. Why
I'm good
not?
for that.
Why not? Happy little elf. People need to be joyful, right? And I feel that that connects people is laughter, happiness, and choosing it as opposed to I'll be happy once achieve achievements, which are fleeting. And in the Bible, they say even all our possessions are covered in moss and flame. Um, if it's relevant, I'd like to actually play a clip that was moving. I tune into like every week, Real Time with Bill Maher. And I don't know if you ever heard of Scott Galloway.
Oh
He
yeah, yeah. I like that guy.
great. So he did a
Sounds like a
2 minute
show.
segment. And times are tough, right? Times are challenging, right? So I guess with maybe informal permission just for the public use here, I'm gonna play 2 minute clip from the overtime segment where they're talking about the future and having children. So I'm gonna play this right now. One moment.
Is there a way to make it louder?
Oh, let's see. Hmm. Oh, anyway, what he's trying to say that I'm just going to repeat like, all right, so I'll go one step further, right? I'll be the deliverer of his message in a
Yeah,
comedic.
yeah, yeah.
All right, I'll enhance the message as a as like an
I see.
interpret.
I'm not the techiest person. Sometimes when Matt McHale comes on, he like shares stuff. I don't know how he's doing it
We'll get better
through
at
the
our craft, and
computer. Yeah,
that's the goal
we'll
for.
grow through uh the snake that cannot cast its skin must die. Yeah, please.
All right, so. So Bill Maher's never had kids, right? He's in his 60s. He's chasing achievement. He's going around the country, gaining accolades. He's in his like third decade of just being the world's expert at, shtick and comedy and politics and being in the forefront of leaders and having audiences and dinners with Trump and others. But he has this other guy here who's a family man, right? Who, when he walked on the set, brought four Coronas, right? Not the Corona that you have to wear the mask for, but just the one that you pop over the top and have a beer. And so he's having a beer with a couple political pundits there. And normally we say, hey, when do we break bread with people we disagree with? When can we have a beer with someone that we don't like always like? And this guy's trying to like just calm the room. And the moment he does that, and bring a cheerful state here, he brings something heavy in this clip, right? And just to kind of sum it up, without having to go through every detail, because it moved me. He was saying that on paper, having children is like the worst decision you'll ever make. It's been proven to make you unhappy, right? Throw you off mission, right? And then keep you unfocused. But then they say in the retrospect of all of life that it brings the most purpose and the highest meaning. So I think that's like with every task in life.
Mm.
And initially, it will rob you of your pleasure. It will rob you of this the rush of dopamine that that partying will provide, that fleeting pleasures will provide, and escapes. But when you build that true serotonin in the experience, then you're getting somewhere. So let's say yesterday, I didn't get to meet Gary, but I would have been ready to meet Gary. If I had my 5 minutes with him, like Andy Frisella has or other people have, I would still be able to do it. But now it comes from a position of I've tried. Now is there a better way to try? Is there a more methodical way to try? So then I go into LinkedIn and I say, oh, the number two guy there has a Greek last name. Let me send him a gift package too and say a couple words in Greek. And if that means anything to him, we'll talk. Maybe I can be a client or just share what I have going here for us, and they connect us with the right people. So again, it's trying to build a road, trying to build a bridge more formally as opposed to informally through email, through a message on social. Go ahead.
Would you have you ever done anything like this before in a context that would be
I would think this is more basic.
analogous,
I
or you
think I
think?
think it's I think the only thing analogous to this would be maybe decades ago when I was a shareholder at like Westinghouse and I would go to Pittsburgh and say, "Hey, can I meet with the CEO?" And they're like, "Oh, you have to make an appointment." And his name was literally Michael Jordan back then, not the one from the Bulls.
Sure.
But you know, like I read the annual report and I would have been ready to talk to him. And so, but that sets you up for later exposure to other CEOs. You know,
So what what did it do for you?
it 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 propels you to know the realm of possibility, to know that you can ask a succinct, respectful, direct question to a leader and pause and listen. And if they have something good to say, you learn from it. So, case in point, I was on the elevator when I was an Aramark employee, when my first full-time job out of college. And I'm there with Mr. Neubauer, one on one on the way down, on the way out for the day. And I figured make the most of this moment. Hello, Mr. Neubauer. Thank you for the opportunity to work here. Right. Meaning I start with gratitude. And then if you don't mind me asking, he says, where do you see the company going in the next couple quarters? Again, it's a very softball question. I don't need to hit him. He's like, well, we're going to need to make a couple changes and then everything will be all right. 2 weeks later, he shit cans Jim Leonard, his buddy, and his secretary, and he took back control of his company and steered it in the right direction. How did I know? But I nodded, knowing that there were some shifts coming, that he was going to take control. But I didn't know what it was, right? But it turned out to be great for the company and its future, right? Because sometimes if you let your friends take charge, they run it to the ground if they're not culturally aligned with what you got going.
What what does Gary Vaynerchuk's story
Oh,
avatar represent to you?
oh, okay. So
And
here's the big story of yesterday, right? And I got to add this into more of my footage. I started the day at Liberty State Park in New Jersey, right? Looking at a view of the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island, right? Where my great grandparents visited, probably on that register, and we've all been to Statue of Liberty knowing that they welcome immigrants. And my father's an immigrant from the 70s. Gary's an immigrant, and so is his dad. And we both worked hard under the stern direction of our fathers, who could never be pleased no matter how hard we worked. And so I figured, you know what? This guy made it to 50. He leads an organization and he leads a family. So I just want to give something kind while also promoting myself. So I figured that hunger spirit, that hustle spirit, without being, out of line, out of bounds or rude, I figured it's appropriate. And I figured someone like him, I would enjoy a conversation with him, or even exchanging jokes or insights or directions and connections. And I figured, okay, well, you've built something. Maybe you can send me in the right direction. And I've earned my place to stand next to you for at least a minute and get some direction or connections. And if I have insights, ideas, you hire people for different roles on your bus. And he literally, what I truly admire about him the most is that he'll sit with people quarterly, or if not more often, and say, Is this seat the best for you on this bus? Because I like you culturally, but maybe you're not loving this job you're doing right now. Can we find something else for you to do?" That keeps people within the realm, as opposed to leaving you and then you lose that valuable asset. So when I see that he's transitioned from wine to marketing and managing age, like he just expands because he connects. and these little TikToks, these little reels, like he still humbles himself and he literally tells you, hey, stop just studying my stuff, go out there and do it. Like, don't just follow my next podcast tomorrow and my next episode. Like listen to my stuff for a bit and maybe come back to it, but don't stay here. Like, go out there and commit to action. Because so that he's kind of yelling at you, but with love. And so I feel like that kind of that when you're in New York, like you don't feel love, but he's kind of sharing his version of love with the audience. So I connect and relate with that very greatly.
Hmm. Was he at work on his birthday?
I wouldn't know. I was there at 3 o'clock, but again, people sometimes leave early on Fridays. I tried calling a few times. Had I been there probably 8 in the morning, maybe I would have caught everybody. And again, this is a lesson learned for next time, whether you want to be there. And I learned stuff. I learned, hey, you're there first thing Monday, you're going to catch people. Okay. When do they come in? Between 8 and 9. All right. Show up. All right. That's the mission. Show up. So I showed up for that person. I showed up for the front desk security person. I know he has a family. He's going to love this and maybe give a review. But either way, I'm not attached to that. I'm attached that I was kind, that I was in the same space, up the same escalators, in the same buildings, and I
Hmm.
was polite. I didn't demand to be seen. I don't demand anything. Nobody owes me anything. Even though I went through the effort, even though I went through the expense to take a whole day off to go there, there's no attachment. The attachment is the effort. I wanted to march forward until I got there, and I did get somewhere. And so I think a lot of people feel that full attachment that if you don't make that sales call or close, or that you don't close that employee, get the effort, that it's a loss. It's not a loss. You move forward somewhere. It's a game of inches, right? I think what was that movie with Pacino, where there's like
Sunday.
yeah, that one, Any Given Sunday, where he's like, it's a game of inches, and you're basically going to put your soul on the line and give your whole body for that extra inch. So if I dressed up as an elf and put on Captain America socks and then like candy cane socks, I'm willing to look silly, right? Mind you, it's an elf, not a fairy. So I'm still maintaining my manhood while I go out there into a lobby and talk nicely to people and share kindness. And it led to attraction too. I actually got a free cup of coffee while I was at Liberty State Park walking over to the ferry, which took me to Manhattan. And then I walked 3 miles to get to the center because that's how hungry I am. And it actually took less time to walk there than it would to take a taxi during certain times of the day. And I was so happy to get there. Again, I skipped lunch. I didn't eat until dinner time when I went to Princeton and had ramen soup. Again, yeah, that's what, like, meaning like you work hard all day and then you're like, this is your reward. This is sit in a beautiful holiday setting in Princeton, right? Away from the city where a lot of people move out of. But when you want to move into the power centers of capital, of marketing and media, that's where it's centered, right there in Hudson Yards, right across from a Whole Foods, right? It's not a Stop and Shop. It's not the Acme. It's Whole Foods. Yes.
Uh, a fellow, we haven't recorded yet, but in the spirit of the Culture Matters podcast, David Levine recommended last week Spinoza's Ethics.
Hmm.
He did his dissertation in college, I think in philosophy at Yale on Baroque Spinoza.
Hmm.
His, and he recommended this book. And I want to read a passage on page 156. Insofar as men are moved against one another by envy or some effect of hate, they are contrary to one another, and consequently are the more to be feared, as they can do more than other individuals in nature. Minds, however, are conquered not by arms, but by love and nobility. It is especially useful to men to form associations, to bind themselves by those bonds most apt to make one people of them, and absolutely to do those things which serve to strengthen friendships. But skill and alertness are required for this. For men vary, there being few who live according to the rule of reason. And yet, generally, they are envious and more inclined to vengeance than compassion.
Oof.
So it requires a singular power of mind to bear with each one according to his understanding and to restrain oneself from imitating their effects. But those who know how to find fault with men, to castigate vices rather than teach virtues, and to break men's minds rather than strengthen them, they are burdensome both to themselves and to others. That is why many, from too great an impatience of mind and a false zeal for religion, have preferred to live among the lower animals rather than among men. They are like boys or young men who cannot bear calmly the scolding of their parents and take refuge in the army. They choose the inconveniences of war and the discipline of an absolute commander in preference to the conveniences of home and the admonitions of a father. And while they take vengeance on their parents, they allow all sorts of burdens to be placed on them. Though men, therefore, almost spilled my coffee everywhere, generally direct everything according to their own lust. Nevertheless, more advantageous than disadvantageous follow. More advantages than disadvantages follow from their forming a common society. So it is better to bear men's wrongs calmly and apply one's zeal to those things which help to bring men together in harmony and friendship. The things which beget harmony are those which are related to justice, fairness, and being honorable. For men find it difficult to bear not only what is unjust and unfair, but also what is thought dishonorable, or that someone rejects the accepted practices of the state. But especially necessary to bring people together in love are the things which concern religion and morality. I can keep going. This is like,
Oh, I love this. I love it.
I open up a random page in the book and I'm like,
Can I can I
I
can
want to
I
read this.
can I share my reflections and
Please. Yeah. And then we'll
based on this?
close.
Sure. So
Happy birthday,
so
Gary Vaynerchuk.
so this is where it solidifies into a movement, right? Not just to point out at problems, but to build a solution. So I'm someone who aligns with justice. When I see something wrong, I want to make it right. And I started a movement with a Dr. Chinchilla Jonesia, who I think I would love to introduce you for a future episode. She calls herself the Queen of Justice. We started a new movement that will launch this Thursday at our this Philly City Council meeting at 10 a.m. in City Hall, where we will launch the new funnel page, cityinjustice.com. I want to start organizing everybody's individual sufferings and bring it to federal attention. So very soon I'll be scheduling a meeting with Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri because I'm sick and tired of not being heard. And I'm an educated person, so I know how to articulate. So if I speak clearly and I cannot be heard, then no one can be heard. So instead of being suffering, instead of leaving this town like you have or others have, which I bless you that you've left so you can blossom, but people need to blossom in the town that they were born in as opposed to leave it. Because, I was speaking briefly with our friend Andre Watson of KW Commercial, and I said, how are things here? He says, Philly's dying, it's collapsing. There's no investment here. Who's motivated, inspired? Why? Because New York is worse? Because it's fallen to communism? And and homes are being sold. What is it? A home gets for sale in Connecticut immediately 90 offers. Immediately. within 12 hours. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, so what's the future of New York? It looks good. I visited, but it was empty. And it's expensive to be there. It's not friendly. No one was smiling. I was. I was a happy little goofy elf. Okay. Tried to give a gift. And nobody bothered me. Thank God. But if it was in Philly, I don't know if I would have suffered the same fate.
Huh. Demetri, thank you for coming on the Culture Matters podcast today and your example of this is my takeaway going for it, going for it.
Go for
There
the goal.
wouldn't be a Culture Matters podcast if, first of all, I want to say a couple things. Gary, I'm sure if he was there, he would have, what I think Gary would really like you. And I know that from personal experience, having interacted with him. I know that he would really like you. You have many people at and above his level and below that you have great relationships with, from a hierarchical standpoint. You already know that. I think you guys would get along great. Um, so I want to say that having worked with him, um, and engage with others that have pushed through that door. Benny Fisher, who's been on our show, he pushed through. And I think that like I have to ask him how. Maybe we'll invite him and ask him. Maybe we'll interview him together. How did you get in there? And because I don't know how that happened. I don't remember the story. He might have bought wine or something. But anyway, so I think he would really get along with you if you guys when you guys talk. That being said, what I took away was there wouldn't be a Culture Matters podcast, and there wouldn't be a lot of things. There wouldn't be a 30 Days of Thought. And I think I would have quit by now on the business for sure. If I didn't leave 10x2 in Florida, Miami on day one of the event and say, I've heard enough. Jack and Taylor was talking about culture. Bobby Castro was talking about culture. These guys just don't understand culture at the level of depth that I do. They don't. And I'm leaving and I'm not coming back until I'm on stage. And I did one better. I ended up going to Jeremy Haynes' house that day, he's just unbelievable, brilliant guy, worked for Grant. He basically the team prospected me and it turned into me and him having lunch and then him inviting me to his house. And I became a mentor to him and him to me. He opened up doors, put me on stages. I ended up eventually through that meeting Brad, working with him, and I did much better than being on the stage, you know, like, and that's who you are. And you know, we're as kindred spirits in it. So like, I felt that energy when you're talking about you're going to Gary's office. It's like, this is what people like us do to create and sometimes when we're not invited to the table, we create the table. And
Yeah.
so I created a table with clients and we had Gary eat at our table. And that for our clients' best interest. And like that, I'm very proud of. That's how I got to work with Jordan Peterson. And like, it's because I made the same decision that you did. So I want the audience to really understand that there's okay, you didn't meet Gary that day. It really is missing the forest for the trees. It is the ontology. Okay. I didn't know what that word meant for a long time. So just so everybody knows, like I think I'm just proud that I know what it means now. Okay. Your being has changed because you've made that decision to go and face something. And ontology is the philosophical study of being, everyone. Your being, who you are has molted, I think. So I'm very proud to call you a friend, and
Yeah.
that's really cool stuff. And I'm trying to figure out right now what outfits I need to put on and what places I need to be in uncomfortably to go to the next level and grow. So what a
Would you
great
welcome a humble suggestion?
I'd welcome an arrogant one too.
Okay, listen, you're funny. You're very funny. Not just funny looking, right? Like me, but funny with jokes, right? So I figured that we can stretch ourselves and create a comedy routine, right? And we can have topics or no topics. And we can do 3 minutes, 5 minutes or longer, depending on how much people can tolerate us. And it can be for a fundraiser, right? And pick a cause that's worthy or that speaks to the hearts of many. For me, it's higher vets, right? I spoke earlier. That's why we had to delay our start. Is I spoke with a pilot who is a combat vet and was part of the team that helped save people out of Afghanistan during that mission on the way out. Like he had to convince people to go in there when it could be their death against their better logic, go in there, do the mission, and go home. And I asked him, "Did everyone make it that you recruited?" He says, "Yes." So imagine selling something that's almost like the impossible mission, and people do that, and then you're able to kind of coalesce, build friendships, and build relationships based on shared mission, visions, and principles. So, just quickly about Higher Vets, it's an organization that's mission is to help transition people from military service to strong civilian leadership through business aviation and other connections. So, mind you, I'm not even in business aviation. I'm not a pilot nor a veteran, but I care about these people and I care about my friend Joe. So by being advisors and friends, you build a movement. And when people want to serve, again, we have to start bucketing that. That's where you fit in, again, as a friend, as later on as an advisor to these movements, or I get inspired by what you're doing and say, okay, how can we do what we're doing better? Host fundraisers, this because this March we're going to host a fundraiser, but we're still ironing out those details, having never done it before. So everything that you do that seems like it's done well started from a place of infancy, right? Of immaturity, right? I mean, it's kind of immature to show up to anybody's office unprepared, but I was ready, right? I was ready for that moment, that shining moment in front of, and it was just in front of the guard. It wasn't in front of Gary, but to me, it's all the same because he greets Gary. He greets all the people that walk through there. And if he says, "Hey, some goofy little elf showed up here on Friday and he dropped off a gift, you need to meet him," why not? I'll come back another day and wear a different outfit.
Please, if you're listening to this episode, subscribe to the Relief Podcast. Okay. Demetristakias. And please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast. Reviews are how we grow the platform. And if you're not in your outfits and for the next meetup, then we have bigger issues. So please share this with a friend, and we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.